I think the commissioner spent a day trying for me to justify, just like you are doing, how could a tractor be sold for 1.2 million? So anybody, maybe somebody could see it and think that there's something to this which is not true. So they asked me, what kind of tractor is it? I described it. The picture was there. The valuer had taken a picture of the Massey Ferguson. And they went and checked also online what is the cost of a Massey Ferguson at that moment. And I think the value that came on was, you know, maybe not even far, a new one was not far from what we sold the old one for. That was a question. Then they wanted to verify also, because they had skepticism, the commissioners had doubts whether this was a real transaction or it was something not fishy about it. They asked the valuer, they called the valuer at that moment to justify, you know, whether this 75,000 valuation was actually what he meant. And we were all there, the phone was on speaker, and the valuer stood by his valuation. I didn't remember him changing his value. Then the commissioner, the lead counsel, and the chairperson and the other commissioners wanted to cancel the transaction because they just didn't trust it. How could somebody sell a tractor for 1.2 million? Well, I told them, well, for me, I've been sent as an agent. I did my job to the best of my ability. If they want to cancel it, I have no power to stop them. But if I was the person that bought this deal and want to cancel it, I'll just take a legal process. I told them that the buyer has the right. And I think they called the buyer or something to try to talk to him. And he was, you know, because I know that he painfully paid for this. So if somebody tells him that what you painfully paid for yesterday or day before yesterday, we are about thinking about canceling it, he would have reasonably said, well, I will take legal action to defend my right to the auction. Because when he bought it, I made sure he paid. He said he didn't have cash. I told him to give me a check right there. So he wrote the check. So he felt that he's legally entitled to it. And later, he spent a whole day arguing. I was really a bit, this led to so many things because I was a bit pissed off with the commissioners, you know, and eventually they realized that they could not cancel the transaction. I had the lead counsel telling the chairperson we had no legal basis to cancel the deal. I challenge them. If you think you have a legal basis to cancel the deal, go ahead. So, but what I think happened was, it was a transparent thing. The interesting thing was, when I received the commissioner's report, I could remember there are 3 tractors like this Massey Ferguson. What I could remember. I think maybe there were 2 in Kanilai, 1 in Sifo, in the Janneh farms in Sifo, we visited it, that looked exactly like this. But when I look at the sales report that the commission did after I left, I was anticipating that the other tractors that they are behind, just like this one, will be sold for similar. But I didn't see that. I didn't see, because we all didn't see it in the report, didn't see it in the list. Because that would have at least been something comparable. So I think for me, this was a proud moment for me and the team that we were able to make this deal. People know in a government auction there are a lot of games you can play. We didn't play any games, we just played a fair rule.
Thank you, Mr. Koran. And it's interesting that you mentioned that this number 26, to be precise, caused a rift between yourself, the commissioners, and lead counsel. But before I go to the specifics of that rift, perhaps we can do so after the break, the lunch break. Could we go through the other assets that also have very high sale values from their reserve price? Now, I understand this is an auction, and it is expected that the price of sale would be higher than the base price. But if we could look at some of these, such as number 10, please itemize that for us.
Yes.
If you perhaps could, we could go through them one by one. Number 10. Let's look at number 10.
Number 10 was 24th June. 24th of June, one Bubakar Jaite bought a John Deere 5403 tractor with chassis number PY5403C001383 at Sibano Police Station. The reserve price was 80,000 and we sold it for 400,000. Yes. So, well, they want it, they saw the tractor, they want it, they view it, they're satisfied with it. We did a bidding, they bid it. I think usually when you have a high price like this, it happens that a few people are interested in the item and they don't want to leave it for each other. And, we have no time to let them negotiate. We just want to give it to the highest bidder at that moment. So other people make attempts maybe to get it, because the tractors may be even though they all came the same year, they may be in different conditions depending on who was handling it. I mean, that's reasonable. So maybe they are satisfied with the condition in which it was. They competed over it, and the man who won it paid 400,000 as the highest bidder. That was number 10.
Let's look at number 11. From there, number 16.
Number 11, 24th June, a John Deere tractor bought by Sasita Agriculture and Land Development. This was some kind of organization. At Sibano Police. Yes. At Sibano Police, I remember there were quite a number of tractors there, but he paid 451,000 as the highest bidder. The reserve price was 75,000. Yes, again, this was, very well attended, and there were a lot of competitors for this particular tractor also in the same Sibano, and Sasita emerged as the highest bidder. Normally, it happens that maybe because the same police station, somebody lose both of them, the 400,000 and the 451. So maybe the guy lost in this one, because he couldn't have 451, but then he won in the other one where there is 400,000. Nobody wants to go home empty-handed if they have the money with them.
The same happened in number 16, from a gap of 12,000 to 115,000. Yes. Number 32.
Number 32, Babukar Kasama.
And Dr. Babukar Kasama, indeed.
Yes, Babukar Kasama and Adamasala and Hadim Gai, these were all Koti workshop. The tractors were in good condition. As you can see, the reserve price is 450, which at that time was very close to the price of the new one. In the workshop, they were, they were in good shape, so they paid good price. I think Adamasala was the owner of the clinic. Is it Lamtoro? Yes, I remember him. He came himself that he wanted a tractor for the hospital, for his private hospital. There was also Hadim Gai, also a businessman. I remember him personally. He came personally. So he paid 700,000 for one tractor and he paid 650 for the second tractor. Adamasala paid 665,000 for one tractor, and Babukar Gassama paid 620 for the other tractor, and Lamin Sane paid 590 also for the other tractor. Kotu workshop, was very contentious. I think when we came later, because that was the workshop where the secretary to the cabinet came and tried to stop the sale. Yeah.
So we will look at that incident after the break. However, let's look at the item number 44 as well.
Item 44 is Babukar Jaite. It was a John Deere tractor. It was in Kanilai. Well, it's described here as scrap, but the value of value is at 25,000. After the bidding, we sold it for $150,000. It was a John Deere tractor.
Okay. Going back to item number 26. That is the item that sold to Jah Oil Company. You mentioned that in Kotu it was contentious, but I guess you meant it because of the interference or perceived interference.
Contentious maybe in two ways. First of all, there were a lot of interested buyers in Kotu, so the bidding was very competitive. I remember civil aviation was in Kotu also. Where is it? In number 38. The civil aviation was represented by one of their staff. So they bought the tractor for $535,000. Because it's an institution, they could not produce the money at that time. And there were other people who wanted to buy it, but obviously this was a government institution, and I kind of like let them have the deal and then bring the check maybe 1 or 2 days later, because it's a government institution. So it wasn't paid cash at that point, but it was also in Kotu. But obviously they paid for it.
But they won the bid.
Yes, they won the bid, but when it comes to the payment, they didn't have the cash with them, or they didn't have the check with them. So I think we let him go back to the office.
Because of the goodwill?
Yeah, because of it's a government institution.
So back to Jah Oil Company and their payment of a whopping 1.2. Was it competitive?
Yes, it was very competitive.
Could you recall any other bidders that were interested in?
Yes, I remember there were several people there at the bidding process, but I remember two businessmen went that far. Maybe most people dropped by the time it reached 500,000. I mean, not many people could be willing to buy an asset for 1 million cash. So the last bidding from 1 million all the way up, was Jah Oil and another businessman.
Do you remember the businessman?
I think it's Mr. Jaite also.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What about
Jah Oil ended up winning it?
That's fine. That's fine. What about, of course, a value was attached to it by Mr. Njai, but from your perception of the Mercy Ferguson, was it in good condition from the naked eye?
This was almost 1.5 years after Janneh left. So the vehicle was parked, like I said, it wasn't parked in a parking lot. It was parked in the bushes, in a grassy area. If you park a vehicle for 1.5 years, maybe 2 rains have gone on it and it hasn't moved, and it's a tractor. I am not technical. I knew it's not a new one, obviously. But it was packed, it's you could say it's a used one maybe. But like I said, there were 3 of them, in total, I remember.
Okay. Let's look at the total amount that was recouped that day or within those 3 days.
Yeah.
Can you read it out?
We have here 10,572,000
from a total reserve price of?
From a total reserve price of 4,974,500. The sales receipt amounted to 10,572,000.
And the profit?
That means the gain or above the profit was 5,597,500 above the reserve price.
From the business point of view, this was a very successful business. Wouldn't you say so?
Yes. That's why I said the commission lost billions. If they had continued with this process, this whole thing would have been much more better for the taxpayer in terms of value.
Right. Before we go on to the break, I would like you to look at the exhibits that follow that are attached to that schedule.
Yes.
There are several receipts.
Yes.
Receipts for, say, tractors.
Yes.
Who issued these receipts?
Yeah, like I said, all these receipts are my signature.
And did the commission not have its own receipts? They seem to be generic receipts.
Yes, for this, these were generic receipts.
And did the commissioners take the receipts once you submitted them as part of your report?
Yes. This, I had the mandate, so I issued, and that was not an issue.
As part of the receipts, you mentioned that your signature is on the receipts. What signature are you referring to? Is it in the portion that is allocated for managers sign?
Yes.
And that is consistently your signature?
That's my signature, yes.
Did you require the successful bidders to sign anywhere?
Not on this. Not on this. My anticipation is that maybe during the transfer process, because the vehicle controls unit had that, they would have used this receipt as an evidence to complete the paper process as the first step of the paper and to a vehicle registration process.
Thank you, Mr. Kuro. Honorable Chair, I believe it's a convenient time for us to take our lunch break. After that, we could continue with the witness's testimony.
Thank you, Council. This is a convenient time for us to have a long break and come back at quarter past three. Meeting adjourned.